My name is Ted Harris, and I'm the Executive Vice President of the Pennsylvania Petroleum Association. Our association is one of the partners that co-host the Eastern Energy Expo. On behalf of all of our partners, I would like to welcome you to Eastern Energy Expo On Demand 2020. This is the final full week of programming. We have been doing daily programs as well as other technical training and pre-recorded programming the entire month of August. Our program will end next Monday with our final session. But before that point, we certainly want to, we have a full week here this week. I would encourage you, like I said, we have a couple remaining things happening. I would encourage you to visit the Eastern Energy Expo website to see a full schedule of the remaining programs and seminars that we have in place. I also encourage you to visit the Eastern Energy Expo website, as well as the Eastern Energy Expo on-demand platform, to view the 120 plus exhibitors who have virtual trade show space. Within our virtual trade show, you can connect with exhibitors, view new products, and also check out show specials that multiple exhibitors have. I encourage you to take advantage of that. I would also like to thank our sponsors for this event. Without their commitment, there's no way we could do this. Most of our sponsors that we have in place previously committed when this was supposed to be an in-person show in May, and they've stuck with us here as we transition to this virtual format. So again, I can't thank you enough. All of our sponsors are on our website, and thank you so much. Before we get started here today, just a couple of housekeeping items on my end. We encourage attendees to ask questions. You're going to be on mute as an attendee, but you can ask the question by typing it in the question feature and go to webinar. Once we get done with the presentation today, I will go and moderate those questions back to our presenters. For some reason we don't get to your question, I will make sure I connect you with our presenters after the fact to answer your question. So please, I encourage you, ask questions. We've done multiple business seminars here, and the ones that have questions are by far the most obviously interactive and beneficial. So please don't hesitate to ask questions, and we will answer them. I would also like to share that this webinar today, as well as all the other webinars we have done, will be recorded and be available on the Eastern Energy Expo on-demand platform. So if you missed a portion of it, or if you want to share it with someone else on your team, please keep that in mind, and it will be available. At this point, I would like to introduce our presenters: Julia Miller with Blueox Energy and Tim Cole with MPX. They will be presenting "Stop Being in the Energy Business, Get in the Customer Service Business, and Grow." Tim and Julia, at this point, I'd like to pass it off to you. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Ted. Really appreciate it, and welcome everybody. It's a pleasure to be here, and thanks for joining in for the topic today. And you know, just by way of introduction, you know, stop being in the energy business, get in the customer service business, and grow. You know, there's churn that is relatively common in the energy business, from what we keep hearing from our customers, and that, you know, there's a lot of work to win over new clients, and then other end customers, and there are end customers that then slip away. And so that churn has been pretty common in the industry for a lot of years. So occasionally there 2 or 3% growth, maybe a little slippage. And I just, we're here to talk today about what can be done about that, and what really makes a difference in terms of how end customers kind of show with their feet and with their heart kind of where to put their money. And so anyway, so that's our purpose today, is to talk about the things that are really making a difference, and where market share is really up for grabs. So my name is Tim Cole. I'm Chief Customer Officer at MPX, based in Portland, Maine. And with me is Julia, who I'll let her say hello and introduce herself.
Hi, everyone. My name is Julia Miller. I'm the Senior Vice President at Blueox Corporation. My main role at the organization is really to manage the customer experience, the sales team, and the marketing team. So I am directly involved in our day-to-day operations. I guide, I coach, and most importantly, I have some experience in actually growing an energy business. Our organization has experienced the same churn that Tim was referencing earlier, and somehow we've been able to break through that, and we are starting to see compounded growth year after year. So hopefully some of the things that we share today can give you a little insight on how you can do the same.
Great, thanks, Julia. You know, and I think the theme that keeps showing up is ease and peace of mind, and those are the two aspects of what kind of that daily experience can bring to end customers, and the result is that they are showing with their loyalty where they'd like to spend their time and energy. So let's talk first about some of the industry trends that are that we're seeing, and this is a poll that we took with our customer base across the energy industry. And so on the first point, paperless. So on average, across the base of customers that we support, it's 16% of their customer base is paperless, and then there's a high of 26%. Auto pay, average 6%, with a high of 18%. And you know, in many ways, the perfect relationship can be considered auto delivery and auto pay, where there really is no interaction. And yet that kind of ease and peace of mind really is powerful. And so the traditional ways in which we think about how customers used to interact with us is changing. Certainly there are plenty that continue to interact in that same manner, but the changes are pretty notable. So auto pay is just a wonderful opportunity to help people make life easy for them, and certainly for your staff without collection issues. And portal enrollment, 25% is the average, with 46% is the high. And then digital payments, the amount of growth that we're seeing in digital payments, and this is year after year after year, so still after a number of years where that pattern of paying online has been growing, still seeing as high as 70% for growth. So these are things that you can kind of consider, you can compare. You know, one of the trends that we see that generates the highest of these numbers tends to be when an organization gets fully behind these ideas. It's never one campaign or one, you know, kind of limited time effort. It's really an ongoing company-wide initiative to really encourage auto pay or really encourage paperless. And mostly people are selfish, and so most people convert whenever they see benefits for themselves. So when it's adding services and capabilities that really help them in their day-to-day kind of functioning of life, that's when they start to show loyalty and migrate over. So from an overview standpoint, the concept of delivery, delivery is now service in almost all aspects of our lives, whether it's groceries or certainly what Amazon and others are doing. And it's so pronounced now in this pandemic how valuable and appreciated that is. And so whether it's self-serve in some fashion, pickup, delivery, just ease, all of those capabilities. So you know, how are your customers seeing you in that kind of paradigm of delivery? So you know, as you think about kind of the energy customer today and how they may be different, certainly you've got a range of customers, and as I said earlier, you know, there's some that still like the old-fashioned calling on the phone and talking to somebody, and that's fine and that's great, and you're going to have that infrastructure in place. But increasingly, people are just so busy with whatever they're doing with their personal lives and family commitments and raising their kids, if that's the case. Essential workers and others who are, you know, this economy is bringing kind of both sides of the equation, where people have so little time because they're so overtaxed with their commitments. And that's just a way that could be considered for how to help them, how to make life easier for them. And so anyway, so just in thinking in terms of kind of how is that customer changing? What are the things that are on their mind? How can we think about them and consider how to make life easier? And I was at when events were taking place in person not too long ago. I attended a conference that USAA was a speaker, And USAA is becoming a well-known insurance company, but they also provide banking, and they're known for good service. And what I found fascinating at that talk was that the leadership is totally reorganized there, and has been over the last couple of years, where rather than having kind of regional or division leadership, they have broken their organization down into over 100 experiences that their customer base goes through. And their management and their leadership is organized around those experiences. And so that can be, if you're putting in a claim, an experience would be, how do you do that on paper? Another experience would be, how do you do that online? And third, how do you do it on mobile? And they really dissect every aspect of what that claim process would mean to their member, and consider how to make it easier, how to bring peace of mind, and ultimately how to grow, how to earn loyalty. So these same customers are coming to you for their fuel needs, and so their expectations are a whole lot different than they used to be. They just are. And I think that this pandemic has even heightened that expectation more so. So what is it that these customers are looking for at this point? And again, it's ease and peace of mind. Is it simple to pay online? Is it clear what I'm paying for if I have multiple tanks? If I've got multiple properties, are there easy ways to manage that? So those are all things that make a difference. And I think that, one of the things to consider is that all of us have a different kind of level of patience than we had 6 weeks ago, 6 months ago, 6 years ago. Not necessarily because we're becoming less patient as people, but because we've seen other ways of doing things. So I recently was going through the process of refinancing given the lower interest rates. And I started with the bank, and just little by little, there were just little things that started to wear on me. The response time of calls coming back to me was slow. Someone went on vacation, and I was left in a black hole. Then there were some concerns about how to manage home inspections and closings with COVID, and how to keep everyone safe. And just little by little, the bank kept coming up short in my mind as to what I thought would be appropriate for how they were responding to things. And eventually I aborted that particular institution and found another one, and the experience was wonderful. And I think that we all face that in our businesses, and certainly from an energy standpoint, that expectation on how to keep people feeling loyal and what characteristics are necessary for them. Notifications to bring peace of mind and ease for whenever fuel is on the way. Just a variety of ways to help satisfy that growing expectation. So added to all of that is just the idea of in this era where we've got real concerns with the pandemic and how to keep everyone safe. That's just an added element to, certainly from a delivery standpoint, and where the delivery tickets are left, and what's done to keep everyone safe, but also for your own staff. Just if people get sick, are there tools that your customers and your staff has access to that can navigate if the storm hits the same time as people are out with illnesses, or even if they're not with COVID, they're going to be extra cautious, and you want them to be, to stay home if they're feeling under the weather. So there's just all kinds of considerations that are just adding to the intensity of the upcoming heating season. So, delivery is certainly the starting point, and what else can be done surrounding delivery to make life easier and to earn that loyalty and to earn that market share. So whether it's updates on their phone, even text to pay now is a wonderful enhancement to auto pay, where the consumer is in control, where they get it all set up in advance and it's all automated, but they get to make the decision as to when they're ready. So just what can be done to bring them ease and comfort and peace of mind and ultimately market share. So with that, let me turn it over to Julia to give some of the experiences that she's witnessed and helped to shepherd there at Blueox.
Thanks, Tim. So a lot of what I'm going to talk about today, some of it does revolve around COVID, some of it revolves around customer experience, but a lot of it's just in general around operations. And really the only way you are going to be able to grow your energy business is if you can be there for your customers. So what the topic of this webinar may have been a couple months ago has shifted slightly as a result, but it all kind of collides into the same point. So what will your organization do if you can't deliver, specifically due to COVID or any other variety of factors? Snowstorm hits, another type of illness goes through the office. It's hard to say what's going to happen this year. What if somebody in your team has an infection and that they have multiple members that are going to need to be quarantined? How will you communicate rescheduling appointments? How will you still make deliveries? Who will you have answer the phone if somebody's sick in customer service? What steps are you taking now to ensure that your customers can be taken care of should the worst happen? Another area of your business to keep a focus on is how are you going to maintain cash flow and control receivables if your credit person goes out, or if there's a delay in communication, a delay in getting payments? How do you let your customers know that at the end of the day, despite all of these variables, that you still have things under control? And that's some of what we're going to talk about, is that the tools that are available to help you, these tools, are all available obviously through MPX, but it's how you bridge those gaps to ensure your customer has that seamless transaction Tim was talking about that is really going to make the difference and is what's going to make the word get out about how you handle things. And that's where the truth opportunity is for growth. A lot of dealers do not feel that these rules don't apply to them, that I've done it this way for so long, it's always worked. That very well may be true, and that may continue to work. But there's absolutely a market that you are leaving on the table by not having some of these bases covered, or by investigating some of these tools to see if it's what your customers are looking for. Our organization is based in upstate New York, about as rural as it gets, and we've experienced all of these behavior shifts, and we have every excuse not to have experienced them. So I'm a true believer that if it's happening here, it's happening wherever you are. We're seeing, a huge reduction in mailing, customers not wanting to be on long hold times on the phone, or not mailing as many invoices. All of these things require healthy staff to do. So if your staff isn't going to be there this fall or this winter, how are you going to do business if you don't have any automation in place and you don't have any online experience that your customers can take advantage of? What we're here to tell you today is that the time to prepare is now, and these are the tools that you're going to need to be able to achieve the growth. So where are we at? We've had a pretty robust technology roadmap that we followed. It started roughly 5 years ago. Some of you may have heard me tell my story in a couple different webinars before, but basically we've invested in software across the board. And when COVID hit this spring, late winter, it was really the catalyst to allow us to continue to do business, where our team members were available. They could work remotely because we had the software that empowered them to do that. Our customers are able to do business with us 100% online. So we were able to be open even when things got a little bit tricky. As the season has evolved and, we've kind of clawed our way through the worst of it, we've seen that just increasingly better results in our online experience as far as signing up for price protection plans. We have a completely automated process for signing up for budgets and pre-buys, where the customer logs in from home. It's a 4-step process, as kind of seen here in these images. They sign up, and that same plan is automatically set up in our back-end system. So customers are doing business. They don't need to pick up the phone. They don't need to wait on hold. We don't need to worry about having healthy staff. They can do what they need to do, and that's what makes us a really great dealer for them to choose. And those are the experiences that they tell their friends and family about. Just one highlight is we've had the online price protection plan enrollment in place for, I believe this is our 3rd or 4th year. Now I think it's our 3rd year. Our first year, we had 40% enrollment automatically. That's with minimal effort, minimal communication. We basically just sent out a flyer. And each year, we've continued to see this 5% incremental growth in more and more customers going online, not relying on us to walk them through the process, because we've made it so simple. In addition to that, this year, we're seeing more growth in overall signups where customers are exploring these options for the first time because they're more visible. I don't have to send a marketing or mailer piece to tell them about pre-buys and budgets. If they log in to pay their bill, that information is just displayed for them to review. So we're seeing even increased growth in the number of customers who are looking at some of the different payment plan options that we haven't seen before with really no additional effort from our team. And so here we are with, what other things that we're doing to make sure that our customers are able to do business with us online, whether our team is here or not. We offer a wide variety of automatic payment options. Tim kind of gave a little bit of a teaser of the text to pay. We're getting ready to roll that out to our customer base as well. It has all the benefits of the auto pay feature with a little bit more control, which is somebody like me, what I'm looking for. I don't really like giving anyone free rein to draft things out of my account, but if I have that quick little fail safe just to make sure that I know what's coming and what's going, that's going to make me more confident in exploring an automatic payment option that I may not have before. And automatic payments are something that you really should be pushing this time of year. Again, if your team gets sick and there's no one to process the payments, these things take care of themselves. They bill themselves. They can be sent over to your back end system, automatically ported over. There's a lot of work that can be reduced and can be automated so you don't have to rely so much on a healthy staff. Again, taking orders. Why are we paying staff to process orders when customers can do it online at their leisure? Tim kind of gave the example of a couple different customer profiles that probably don't want to just do business between 8 and 5 every day. Schedules are changing, demands are changing, people are maxed. And so being able to offer them the ability to do business with you, whether it's scheduling a service appointment, it's requesting a delivery, it's making a payment, it's signing up for a price protection plan, it's even reviewing, a past invoice or statement. If they have those things at their fingertips, it's going to just feel easy to do business with you, which is why all these things are super important. With that, I'll kick it back over to you, Tim, to talk a little bit more about, where things are going.
Thanks, Julia. Yeah, so I think that, and keeping in mind what USAA did, we just encourage for you and your team to just think through each interaction. What are the common exchanges that occur with your business? And just keep thinking about what can be done differently to make it easier, certainly for your customers, but also for your internal staff, because they usually do go hand in hand. If the process is really thought through in a way that just takes off all the hiccups and the opportunity for either error or delay. So just keep anticipating. What else would be helpful? What else would the customer want? What kind of notification would put them at ease and bring them peace of mind? So, and I think certainly part of the theme today is to talk about technology, but honestly, even though we do provide technology, and this is something that we think about all the time, we've just found from witnessing and watching our customers that often it's the decisions that are unrelated to technology that make the biggest difference. What is the business philosophy kind of decision making that can really bring ease and comfort to a customer base or to staff? And it's really the combination of when those kind of policy or strategic and or tactical decisions are made that really eliminate some of the confusion and some of the cause for delay, that when you combine that kind of decision making with the right technology, it can be really powerful. So I think that and as Julia said, we do hear this relatively often, that when we encounter potential customers, that they will describe their environment as different. And granted, every environment does have its nuance and has its differences, but we as a consumer base are experiencing various ways in which we're interacting within our lives, and it's just become so common that the expectation is certainly right there for this industry too. one of the things that also is worth talking about is certainly a portal and the capabilities that are afforded with that to allow for your customers to self-serve. That's what a lot of people want. I think there was a feeling years ago that we were shirking the responsibility of our respective companies by asking our customers to self-serve. As you think about with airlines, I think at first, whenever travel agents and the willingness for the airlines to help us was starting to wane, it was initially frustrating. But before too long, it became like, hold it, I don't want to have an intermediary. I want to be able to have this control and this ability to look at what flights are right for me. And of course, people aren't flying now like they used to, but that will come back. But I think the same is true. The idea of self-serve is really the desire of most consumers. They want to be in and out, do it on their terms, do it on their time. And so portals really do have an important role. But I also want to, kind of go back to that first slide, which talked about paperless, where the high was 26%. That means that the majority of customers are still receiving paper. And the majority of customers are going to for a period of time. I think there will be a big tipping point where some of the industry leaders, whether it's in the retail energy industry or others in other industries, but will have an impact on consumers. Somewhere along the line, this tipping point will shift where there will be far fewer paper customers than paperless. But right now, it is still paper dominated. And so we all should not lose sight of the fact that those billing documents that people are receiving and that are triggering their sentiments about your company should be considered. And there's so many opportunities to make it easier. And this just happens to be an example of looking at plan versus non-plan activity. If this is a customer that happens to be on one of the price plans, sometimes there can be confusion given prepayments and what was part of the plan, was service included or excluded. And there are a variety of ways that documents can be laid out in a manner that anticipates the kinds of questions that the end customer would have, and to put them at ease, and to even make it simpler for your own staff to help explain it. So again, this is just an example, but there are plenty of other ways in order to separate and clarify and indicate what truly is due, so that the phone calls that often surround that kind of confusion are no longer necessary. And I think that just is a metaphor for all the interactions that are really critical for bringing the kind of expectation that really will make a difference in market share. So anyway.
Tim, if I could jump in here too on this topic, we as far as customers that still receive paper from us, our organization has experienced a huge shift in this. We actually had our delivery tickets customized so they are the invoice. So based on the size of our customer base and who we actually mail anything to now, we're probably at almost 85 to 90% paperless. So there really are unique opportunities out there. It kind of just goes to what you're talking about evolving your business model and thinking outside the box a little bit and using the tools and the technology to explore how you can communicate with your customers. We absolutely have the customers that want this statement, but we also have the customers that want the statement but want to be able to see the same information available online. And that's where it's really great when you can find ways to make those worlds collide.
Great, thanks, Julia. So with that, we'd love to open it up to questions. I'm noticing here in Maine, the leaves there are a few red leaves. It is coming, as much as I hate to admit that. But for all of our businesses, winter is coming, and there still are plenty of things that can be done. So we really appreciate your attention today and would welcome questions. So please, let's open it up, and what can we answer that would be helpful?
Okay, so we have a general question, and Tim, not to put you on the spot, but I did share that we will record this webinar and make it available, but an individual asked if the actual slides are available. Would you be willing to share that, Tim? Okay.
Yep.
So if that individual, if anyone else wants them, just submit a question or a comment, saying that, and we'll make sure we get them to you. Okay. Give me one moment here. All right, so Julia, you earlier on, you shared that you had a 5-year roadmap, give or take, for just technology in regards to what you were going to invest in and implement. Out of that roadmap, which I'm assuming obviously includes multiple things, what 1 to 2 changes did you make that have the most impact that you see on your business today?
Well, there's a couple. I guess it depends on which side of the business you're talking on. If you're talking on the back end side or the front end side, a lot of the answers are actually the same. But the first step that we did was, upgrading our back end software system, which put us on a more modern platform. Once we were on a more modern platform, we were able to have communication with different vendors such as MPX. So we got our back end system set up, and then all of a sudden that system had capabilities to talk to different vendors and their technology, which is what has allowed us to continue down our technology roadmap. I think for where our customers come from, I think automated communication is really big. Sending out text alerts the night before they get a delivery. So if somebody needs to leave a payment, they have that reminder. If there's a change in the schedule, we have a way to kind of mass communicate to people quickly. So I think the automated communication has been really helpful for our customers. On the staff side, I would almost say that one of the biggest benefits is having the online price protection plan enrollment. Now we're at 55% of our budget and pre-buy customers don't even call us. We don't mail them anything. We automatically send them an email saying, hey, it's time to renew. They log on, they renew. It's a 4-step process. We receive their payment. It sets itself up in the back end system. Nobody touches it. I think that's really had the biggest impact on our staff as far as what their bandwidth is, especially in that spring and summer season.
Okay, so you just prompted 2 other questions here, maybe 3. Let me just read through these. How are you going about getting mobile numbers from your customers and getting them to opt into that? Into that communication.
Sure. So when we are so 2 different plans for different things. So if it's a current customer, that's always part of our communication when we're taking an order, or if we're having that if we're talking to a customer about anything on their account that they've called in for. If somebody's calling in for a delivery, basically we're saying, would you like a text reminder the night before? And usually they do. We have put out communication on automatic customers as well. And I think actually at one point we partnered with Tim and we did a mass turn on of text alerts to any phone numbers that were mobile numbers in our system. So we basically opted everyone in and then allowed the customer to opt themselves out if they no longer wanted to receive communication. And what we found that kind of surprised us was our automatic delivery customers were actually really pleased to start getting the communication. You take for granted that they know we're coming at some point in time. They don't really worry about it, but people like to know when you're going to show up at their house and be on their property. It gives them a heads up to maybe not have their dogs out or to shovel a path in the wintertime. Just having that automatic communication that you can count on being automatic has really helped.
Okay, so we've gotten a couple questions around this, and I think for the most part, Julia, you covered them. But a couple different questions on how are you actually getting these numbers. To your point about anytime you're making a new delivery, well, making a future delivery, asking the customer to, I think is a great idea.
The only other thing is when we have a new customer, is it actually is part of our new customer intake form. That's what prompts our customer service person to make sure we're collecting that information and starting that new relationship off on the right foot. And in our area, not a lot of companies have these automated communications. So it's a really nice surprise to our customers that it's available. And that's how we're making sure we're constantly communicating it on the front end.
Right, and then, so I'm assuming there's a question about opting out. So I'm assuming in your text notification, you're saying to opt out, press 1 or something along those lines on each communication, you're giving them that out if they want it.
Yeah, that's really more Tim's wheelhouse about what you can do, but all of that functionality is there.
Okay. Tim, you want to add anything into that?
Yeah, no, I mean, I think that if kind of anticipating what may be behind that question, the goal here is not to inundate people, and there just has to be a tremendous amount of respect for their time. So to make sure that alerts don't go out from whatever 8:30 at night until 6 in the morning or whatever time frame together we decide, and to give them complete control if they decide that they don't wish to have them anymore, to give them an easy way to opt out. So yeah, I mean, any and all of those capabilities are inherent in what we do, and we really do encourage the balance of what communications are the right level to bring that comfort and ease and peace of mind, but to not go overboard, because you know, that's just what it is. It's overboard, and then that turns people off. So it's yes, all those controls are there.
Tim and I agree on one thing, is that your text alert communication should be only for really important messaging. The second you start using that platform as a means for marketing is when your customers are going to start to shut down. They're just inundated in every other place. Their cell phone is kind of that safe place, and we both don't really promote the over marketing via text message. And that way, when you do have something to say, your customers pay attention and they respond.
Great points, great feedback. Thank you. Did have a question from one of the individuals, and I don't want to get overly brand specific here, but they asked you, Julia, what do you use from your back end software operating system?
We use Cargus, and if anybody's looking to talk about that more, they can just shoot me an email and I can share, what our experiences have been on that privately.
Excellent. Thank you. So kind of a counter question to Julia, everything that you just went over. Again, 5-year implementation on software. What would you do differently? Is there anything you would do differently? Any mistakes, major mistakes that you found along the way?
I can't say there's too much we would do differently or any major mistakes, but I can give some advice on what I feel is truly a best practice. And my biggest piece of advice is to not treat this like a small side project. And if it happens, it happens. If it rolls out, it rolls out. I think you need to designate a team member. That team member needs to have clear focus, clear direction, and clear goals on what the organization is looking to achieve. And then that really needs to create a level of buy-in from leadership down to the front lines. Because if this is just one individual working on a side project to get more people opted into texting, it'll never take off. It really takes a whole organization's buy-in to be successful. So you have to verbalize it, you have to hold accountability, and you have to track your progress. Otherwise, it probably will fall flat. But you would be surprised if you give it the energy and focus that you would give, what you hope your customer service experience is over the phone, how quickly your customers will respond, and they will tell their friends, family, and neighbors about how easy it was to do business with you. And that's where we achieve the true growth.
Excellent. Thank you. Tim, this question is for you. Earlier on in your presentation, you essentially had a metric up of adoption within the industry based upon a survey that you took with your customers. I honestly was shocked to see how low, just personally speaking. I have a pretty good handle on our members in Pennsylvania, but was surprised to see how low that was from an adoption perspective. What are you seeing from an average to a market leader? What is that market leader doing differently to see some of those adoption rates?
Yeah, no, I think it's a couple of things. I think one is that they just, we all need to rely on our customers to give us guidance and to give us advice. But we also have to recognize that it's kind of our respective bat and ball. And I think the leaders tend to strike that balance in a pretty meaningful way where, anytime there's a change, there will be some subset of customers that will be anxious and will react and communicate pretty vocally. But that isn't necessarily the customer that should dictate kind of how different changes pan out long term. So sometimes it just requires a little bit of patience and a little bit of confidence to say, listen, this is the direction we're going. We really do, it reminds me of when Apple came out with the wireless headphones. To the same people that were totally comfortable with wireless internet connections and wireless keyboards and wireless mouses, that somehow the idea of wireless headphones just put people over the edge. And Apple's response was just be patient. We get more into that phone whenever we change that technology, and lo and behold, people are totally comfortable with it now. And so I think that there are times when Again, I'm not at all encouraging ignoring the customer base, but just take in the feedback in the context of what's right for your business. And those leaders are the ones that are really committed, get the whole organization behind them, and give the end customer reason to want to be in whatever category they're trying to move them into. And that's just, again, it's selfish. Give them what will help their life be more, just bring ease to them, and they will follow. And so, but yeah, I do agree, Ted. I think that's a big part of what this talk is. There still is tremendous opportunity. I mean, market share will shift to those who take that leadership role and help bring people into the kind of experiences that Julia is talking about. It absolutely is available. And it's in some ways surprising that it hasn't been done more, because it is out there. We as consumers are willing to shift our loyalty and to give it to those who earn it. And this kind of customer experience concept is what tends to be the currency nowadays.
Well said. Well said. I am not seeing any questions. I'm going to give it about 10 seconds, or any additional questions, I should say. I'm going to give it about 10 seconds here to see if anything else comes in. But in the meantime, I would like to thank Tim and Julia for an excellent presentation. Julia, congratulations for getting 85% of your customers on paperless. That's mind-blowing to me. That's awesome. Good for you.
Little creative thinking.
Yes, yes. Okay, we haven't got anything else in. At this point, I would like to thank everyone. Tim, Julia, any final comments before we wrap up?
Thanks, everyone. Real pleasure to have the chance to be with you today.
Yep, thank you, everyone, and everyone stay well and be healthy. And if anybody needs anything, don't hesitate to reach out.
Excellent. Okay, thank you all. I appreciate it. And again, just a reminder, we have actually the NORA Eurofuel session is tomorrow, but then on Thursday we resume with another 10 a.m. session. So thank you all. I hope you have a good rest of the day, and take care.